What's going on, everyone? So this is a list of the 6 men thus far. And number one in the entire league as far as 6 men go is Austin Reaves, which is a bit surprising considering how poorly Reaves has played in a lot of ways. But so far, he has a lead over Emmanuel Quickly, who is second. Austin Reaves has a rating of 13.55 in the 17 games. Obviously, it's a little old compared to now, but he's still leading the league. Just the numbers haven't updated. And then he's averaging 14 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. That's rounded up. He's actually averaging 4.8 rebounds and 13.5 points. But still, he is one of, if not the best 6-man thus far this season. And he's been playing rather poorly, right? He's not shooting the ball particularly well. Last year, he shot 40%, which was fantastic, and really just kind of exploded onto the scene. And he just, thus far, hasn't been able to replicate it on a regular basis. He's had games where he looks like his old self. He has games and moments where he's just brilliant. And then he has several games in which he's unplayable. Defensively, he's been awful. Awful is an understatement. He's been very bad defensively. Shooting the 3 ball, he's been atrocious. Like I said, last year, 40%. This season, he's shooting 32% from 3-point range. He's still shooting 54.2% from 2-point range. But last season, he shot 63.1%. And this season has an EFG of 51.8, where last season he had a 61.8. He's struggling across the board. Even his free throw shooting has gone down. He was 86.5% last season. He's shooting 84.5%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. It's significant. It's showing that he is struggling across the board. His rebounds and assists have gone up, which is good, as well as his steals, but his blocks have gone down. Again, it's Reaves last season really just took the league by storm in many ways, especially in the playoffs. We saw him just step up and be this guy that no one really expected in a time where the Lakers desperately needed somebody with LeBron going down. So to see him kind of emerge and help really lead the charge for the Lakers was exciting. And it led to a bunch of just speculation and questions going into this season. But then you saw him in the FIBA, and he was the same guy, right? Because that was the question after the season. Like, how much of it was just teams not prepared and teams not ready for Austin Reaves? I talked about it heavily during the offseason. Made several videos about it, where I talked about, hey, look, Austin Reaves this season, the rules have changed. Teams are trying, or the league is trying to stop guys from creating and forcing contact. The league is trying to implement rules to where guys aren't getting some ridiculous free throw totals. Although if you look at Joel Embiid, it really isn't working, right? And then also teams are going to be more locked in defensively on him. He's going to be circled on the whiteboard. He is going to be part of the defensive schemes for other teams. And teams are going to now have the tape necessary to try to affect and impact Austin Reaves. It was a real concern. And thus far, you're kind of seeing a combination of all that. I also think a lot of it is just Austin Reaves isn't hitting shots, because Austin Reaves has been getting a lot of wide open shots that he's just not hitting, that he was absolute money on last season. Now, the question is, how much of it is tired legs? Because he did play a lot of basketball, going to the conference finals, and then immediately jumping into FIBA, and then immediately has to jump into the actual NBA season. Right? Like, it makes sense that he would be there'd be some level of fatigue. Now, the Lakers did try to give him as much rest as possible during preseason, during training camp, even LeBron's training camp. He was kind of sitting out a little bit. So I don't know. I still believe in Austin Reaves. I still believe that he can kind of turn it around and right the ship. I do think that some of it is just all of the changes and implements and him being more of a focal point on the defensive side and teams actually trying to attack him more, right? I think that that's a big factor as well. But I do think Reaves is talented enough and smart enough to adjust and figure it out and kind of get into the flow and the rhythm. Plus, the postseason, right? We don't have a huge sample size. And that's something else that I want to touch on briefly here is like, I see so many people that are like, Reaves is untouchable. Reaves is this. Reaves is that, right? Like, look at Reaves in the postseason. And look, Reaves was great in the postseason. But let's not forget the first 3 games of the Golden State series where he was literally unplayable, right? Luckily, he was able to kind of play through it and turn it around. But also, one playoff run isn't like a huge sample size. We've seen lots of players have great playoff runs, great stretches, great seasons, and then never able to replicate it, right? I mean, Rui Hachimura is more proven in the playoffs than Austin Reaves is because he did the same thing he did last year for the Lakers, he did for the Wizards in the playoffs. So, again, like, we don't know for certain that Austin Reaves is going to be able to elevate. The idea is that he will, and that he's not afraid of the moment that he'll step up. And look, and again, I do believe in Austin Reaves. I do believe he would, but we gotta look at both sides here when it comes to Reaves. And the Lakers are going to have some real decisions coming because a trade is very likely going to happen. And one of the 3 guys you see on screen right now, in D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reaves, and Rui Hachimura, 1 or 2, or maybe even all 3 of those guys could be in a different jersey by the end of the season. And there's a real argument to keep all of them. But you're going to have to give something to get something, right? And based on the reports, the Chicago Bulls, they want Austin Reaves and Rui Hachimura. Again, wanting and getting are 2 very different things. Also, the Lakers, based on reports, seem to be more interested in DeMar DeRozan because they can get more besides just DeMar DeRozan for the same price that you'd have to trade for Zach LaVine. So that's something else as well. But in general, like, there's a real argument to keep D'Lo over Austin Reaves. D'Lo's been the better player this far. He's shooting 42% from 3. He's the better playmaker. He's been the better defensive guy. And if you trade D'Lo, who's your other playmaker besides LeBron James? Because Austin Reaves has not been very good in that role. He can find the open man, but there's a big difference between finding the open man and getting into the teeth of the defense and creating plays for others. Also, a lot of what makes Austin Reaves so good for the Lakers is going to be neutralized if you get a DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine, because down the stretch of games, in big moments, those are the guys that are going to be hitting the shot rather than Austin Reaves. Now, I do think Austin Reaves makes sense as the 6th man. He's more willing to accept that role. He gives you the same production, whether he's off the bench or starting, which D'Lo, we don't know what he'd look like off the bench, and it would make more sense for D'Lo to come off the bench if you were to get that and kind of have LeBron run point in the starting unit and then D'Lo in the bench unit. And I understand we have Gabe Vincent, but 1, we could end up trading him for salary. And 2, Gabe Vincent isn't a playmaker, right? He can make plays. He can hit the open man, but he's more of a 3-and-D off-ball guard, point guard, and the role of like a George Hill, a Norris Cole, a Mario Chalmers, an Avery Bradley, right? Where those guys, like, they're not great at making plays, but they can play off the ball well. They can be point of attack guys. So, again, there's a real argument to be made, especially if Reaves continues to struggle, because you only have the information that you have to go on, right? And long-term wise, Reaves probably makes more sense, but Lakers are in win-now mode. And if you're in win-now mode, you want to go with the better player. And again, if D'Lo does have struggles in the playoffs, which, again, D'Lo, he has literally led a team to the playoffs as the guy, and was good, right? But even if he does have a bad playoff series, you would have a DeMar DeRozan or a Zach LaVine to where D'Lo, you need him more for the playmaking than you need him for the scoring, right? So that's something else as well. But if Reaves can get back to being consistently on a regular, and again, everyone has off nights, everyone has bad games, bad nights. I'm not saying that Reaves has to be perfect every single night, but it's been so hot and cold, and you can make an argument that there's been more bad games than good. And so, if Reaves can right the ship and get back to being the Austin Reaves we know he can be, then I think the Lakers, I don't think there's even an argument about it. Now, I believe the Lakers are going to trade D'Lo, right? I believe the Lakers want to keep Austin Reaves. But we have to, again, look at all sides of it. We have to, look in both ways. And if Reaves continues to play come trade deadline the way he has played thus far, and D'Lo continues to shoot 42% from three and gives you 17 and 9 and all that stuff, is it really smart to get rid of the better player thus far this season if you're trying to win a championship this season? Right? It's just something to keep in mind. But look, I fully believe in Austin Reaves. I believe that he can right the ship, that he'll bounce back. He's, as I mentioned, he's literally the best sixth man in the league thus far. And that's with him struggling. Imagine if he gets back to being the Austin Reaves we know and love. All of a sudden, that becomes a completely different conversation, right? So I need to see Reaves kind of bounce back. He's got to figure this out. But a lot of it has to do with just him missing shots. He's gotten so many good looks, so many open looks that he just was hitting with regularity last season that he just isn't this season. I mean, how many just wide open threes has he just missed? And so I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just, hey, he's going through some struggle. He's going through a slump. He's got to just play through it. If it is the defensive impact, if it is, him just tired legs playing a bunch of minutes, I don't know. It could be a combination of everything, right? So my hope is that he figures it out because we need him. We need him to figure it out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel about Austin Reaves? How do you feel about him being the best sixth man in the league thus far? Do you think, that he deserves it, that he looks like it? Do you think, no, that's a little surprising, a little shocker? Would you trade D'Lo? Would you trade Reaves? Would you trade both, if it's for the right thing? I mean, nobody's untouchable, right? But anyway, again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. It helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.